Imagine a needle, not planted, not tended, just growing, wild, uninvited, around the base of a flower. That's what curiosity looked like in one particular child, born in Pennsylvania in 1874, except this needle didn't choke one flower. It spread into medicine, into psychology, into literature, and by the end of her life, it had rewritten what a sentence was even allowed to do. I am 40. This is part 2 of the series on language, meaning, and the edges of what words can hold. Today, Gertrude Stein and the question of whether writing can ever be truly automatic or not. Let's start where she did. A young woman, 2 callings. Gertrude Stein didn't set out to break language. As a young woman, she was in love with something else entirely, medicine and psychology. She didn't fully know it yet, but everything she was learning, every lecture, every book, was going to leave a permanent mark. She was, whether she liked it or not, a car hitched to a locomotive already in motion. The thinkers around her would shape how she saw the world, and later, much later, she'd return the favor, hanging back problems and inventions strange enough to occupy their minds for decades. The James brothers. Her path crossed with 2 brothers, William James and Henry James. Her mind in those years moved like a tide, pulled steadily in one direction, then another, but always circling back to the same place. She finished her medical training and found she had no interest in practicing it. Practical medicine felt as foreign to her as an alien beamed down from another planet. Meanwhile, her hands and her thoughts kept returning to Henry James' stories, his novels, and reading Henry's fiction pulled her, almost by accident, toward William's other body of work, his psychology. She approached it carefully, patiently, with real discipline, and there, waiting for her again, was the thing that had circled her all along. William James's work pushed directly against the dominant current of his time, a tradition obsessed with numbers, with statistics, with reducing the mind to measurable units. James did something almost rebellious instead. He treated raw, lived experience as the actual problem worth solving. He refused to sacrifice any part of it just to make it fit a formula. He called this the plural nature of experience, a pluriverse, not a single tidy structure. Wilhelm Wundt and the positivist school had a very different picture of the self. James's intuition ran against it completely. He wanted to grasp the self as a whole, nothing set aside, nothing simplified away, function and feeling held together at once. Gestalt arrives. Not long after, Gestalt psychology rose to prominence. The idea that the mind should be understood as a whole, not a pile of parts, it spread through academia, gaining around. And somewhere in that shift, Stein found a question nobody had picked up yet, sitting untouched on a dusty shelf waiting. After sitting through psychology experiments, she started paying close attention to something specific: how people actually use language. Not just healthy speakers, but people with neurological conditions, with lesions, with damaged minds. What did their language look like? What she noticed next is where everything changed. Can writing be automatic, even in the worst moments? She noticed something almost unsettling. Even in people's worst, most devastating, most broken moments, they kept using language, kept talking, kept trying to make sense with whatever mental faculties they had left. And that put her face to face with one question: could writing, truly automatic writing, with no reflex, no conscious control, actually exist? The body already does this. Think about it. We are born into reflexes, we live inside them, we die inside them. You breathe without deciding to, your heart beats without asking permission, tap just below the kneecap and the leg jumps. No thought required. We don't usually notice those things. They are too woven into daily life to register as strange. So here is the real question. Can writing do the same thing? Can language become just as automatic as a heartbeat? And if we pulled back the curtain, the sheet, the veil, what would we actually find underneath? A journey to the nearest place. T.S. Eliot once said something like this: "Only those with the courage and the patience to walk further than anyone else will ever reach the most distant places and live there." But with Stein, distance is the wrong direction. She wasn't heading outward, she was heading inward. Straight toward language itself, trying to look it directly in the eye. Getting that close to something, to fire, to chaos, to the edge of sense, is dangerous. It's like walking into a desert, but she wanted exactly that, to risk her own footing, to set out on that journey anyway. Experiments eventually have to begin somewhere, and hers began with a trip into language's furthest regions, into valleys nobody had mapped yet. There is not there. A rose is a rose is a rose is a rose. These lines show you exactly how far she walked and in which direction. Pronouns, articles, helping verbs, nouns, adjectives, verbs, phrases, conjunctions, prepositions, every piece of language gets threaded together, link by link into a chain. Meaning wanders right along the edge of meaninglessness, and it's precisely that flexibility, that willingness to bend, that lets her push the border further than it's supposed to go, at the edge of nonsense. Can you actually step into meaninglessness? Is reaching it even possible? The strange thing is, the closer you get, the further you drift, and the further you drift, the closer you somehow get. Words get built and they get moved, slowly, deliberately, into positions completely unlike the ones they started in. That shift drags the rest of the sentence along with it, and out of that dragging, new possibilities are born. What is caught by it, what is caught by eaten. These words and sentence parts start looking like something else entirely. Crooked, overgrown flowers and trees, bent into shapes nature didn't intend. Her work breaks cleanly from Aristotle's tradition, from the whole classical model of storytelling. It leans into the randomness built into language itself, directly against our instincts for common sense, and out of that friction, it produces something genuinely new. The ground shifts under the reader. When her work was published, readers reacted the way you would expect. "I can't understand this." That reaction wrapped itself tightly around everything she wrote. Readers came looking for a familiar plot, a familiar structure, and what met them instead was writing that felt automatic, unconscious, unscripted, that produces real shock, real curiosity, real resistance, because suddenly the ground under your feet, the ground your mind stands on, turns out to be a lot less stable than you thought. The repetitions in Stein's language, the patterns, the chains, the near-identical phrases, the contradictions, the strange syllogisms, all of it shines a light on a structure buried deep inside our capacity for language. Writing, taken as far, ends up standing at the edge of a cliff. Words reach their own limits, and then they overflow them. A rose turns out to be something other than just a rose, and that otherness is exactly what gives words their resilience and their elasticity. Closing, the limit of language. Ludwig Wittgenstein once wrote something worth sitting with: "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world." And near the end of his life, he wrote something else just as important: "The meaning of a word is its use." Put those two ideas side by side and you get something close to a description of exactly what Stein spent her life doing. She wasn't trying to escape language's limits, she was testing them, pressing on the edge to see how far it would bend and where exactly it would break. So, is there a limit to what a sentence can hold? Or does meaning just keep bending until it doesn't break at all? Tell me what you think in the comments, and if you like this one, the first video in the series is right here, go watch it next. See you later.